Try.
Yes, yes. So I want everyone out there listening on your way to work as you go through the day to just, as opportunities come, remember that, opportunities just don't come. Sometimes you have to create them. And so let's create every opportunity that we want to see happen in our lives, okay?
Nice. Nicely done.
So yesterday, apparently, there wasn't the press conference for the People's Labour Party.
Oh.
Yeah, but there was a poster that was being advertised saying that there was going to be a press conference and that it was supposed to be at the Marriott. I saw it
Yeah, because
circulated.
I went home and I went to my computer saying, okay. So I searched, on the live to see if there was anything. I put in PLP, there was nothing.
And persons were looking for the link, but they weren't able to find the link, and then that's when you saw messages being circulated indicating that
It was cancelled?
that it was postponed.
Oh.
So based on the information gathered, it seems, and let me see if I still have the WhatsApp message that was going around. It said Bucky got it, important notice. You have an idea when the PLP conference this morning? You have any idea when is the PLP conference this morning? And then the person said, the message continues to say, our media received a flyer of a PLP conference for this morning at 10 a.m. After investigating, we found out that it was postponed and new date to be set.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened there.
Yeah. So that has been in circulation. But there's something I think I saw, maybe I might be mistaken. I think I saw something after that saying that it might be Wednesday.
This coming Wednesday.
Next week, Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Then did any of you listen to the PM's was
Yeah.
that a press?
Yeah,
Was it considered a press
more or less.
conference?
No,
Yeah.
it was
It was like
a
a sit down.
a sit down interview with Jamie. I would have listened to some of it, especially the beginning part of it, and where he would have alluded to the fact that the development bank and the status of the development bank and the status of persons being. He spoke about nepotism. He spoke about the status of the development bank, and it, based in his words, on being on the brink of collapse when he got into office. Based on what I heard him say, it seemed to be in a stable position now. So, but then at the start, he would have congratulated the netball champions of the 1973, 1978. He spoke about the activities that they're having, and then he went through to speak about his first year in office, and he talked about his experience as a medical doctor, about the learning curve, and he indicated that a doctor would have said to him when he started that the ICU, that would have been a huge learning curve for him in terms of his first day at ICU.
Right.
And then he said that was his second most difficult thing. In fact, the first year in office would have been the most difficult thing, even more than when
Then ICU.
Yes.
Wow.
So, and he indicated, he spoke about the integrity in public life and them filing. He then went on to speak about the development bank, and then was going on to the PAP program and about monies from Social Security as well. I do have a piece of the clip, but I guess we could hear it if it is that time permits.
Right.
But my only question to that would have been that, and I mean, I understand, I hear what he's saying, but my only question to that is that I remember an interview when he was on the narrative when he just got into office, and questions were being asked as to how is St. Kitts and Nevis in a position to pay double salaries, and he went on about being able to save and stuff like that for a rainy day. I was trying to look for the same interview, because I wanted to drag my memory on what he really said. But again, maybe it is that at that point in time, when he made those statements, he wasn't fully aware of the situation. Or maybe it is, I don't know. I don't want to cast aspersions or anything, but there are two differing moods, two differing messages. Yes.
Do you I get the sense when whenever he's doing like a press conference or making a speech, it kind of feels like if he's still campaigning,
Mm-hmm.
right? That and it sounds. I don't know. Maybe it's the voice. Maybe it's the way he's bringing over the stuff. It kind of sounds like he's still campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember listening to bits and pieces of it because I was all about my office. And I think I heard Jamie ask if persons are going to be arrested for the whole development debacle. And what he essentially said was that, you know, they've done what they had to do, and law enforcement has been notified of certain things. And I guess based on that, it's up to if they want to take them to court, if they want to arrest them, do whatever, it's in their hands. But he wouldn't commit to like saying like, okay, yes, persons are going to be arrested or they're going to be sued or whatever.
And you raise an interesting point, and that was a good question that was raised, because while you're on the ground and you're speaking to persons about, you know, the statements that he would have made in relation to Development Bank, persons are saying that if that is the case, then why aren't persons being brought forth
Right.
to the court?
Right.
And if it is that you are saying that such large monies were mismanaged
Somebody
or
has to be
taken
held
or
accountable.
something like that, and you can pinpoint who these individuals are, why aren't they being held accountable? And so it's like saying that someone has taken something from me, and you talk about someone taking something from you, but you don't do anything, or it seems, let me say it seems, I don't want to say he hasn't done anything, but it seems as though you're not doing anything to remedy the situation. So someone might on the outside see it like you're just saying certain things to gain a reaction. Why aren't you therefore making these persons more accountable? And so
Right.
that is the kind of conversation you hear on the ground. You understand? Because
Yeah.
if you say, you know, Chia took $300,000 from this, and Chia should be held accountable, but you are not. It's not looking like you're making Chia accountable, or you're not. It's looking like you're not doing anything to move
Yeah,
that.
I
Then,
think that's
yeah.
what most of the public is thinking. Like,
Yeah.
because we actually want to see, okay, you did this, you stole this, you are going to be held, just like with any other crime. And speaking of that, I got a clip this morning showing that the police arrested the persons who allegedly robbed the two supermarkets because whatever car they were using, I guess somebody tipped them off. The persons were staying at Timothy Beach Hotel.
Oh wow.
I mean, hey. and wherever the car was parked. So like I saw a video from what's this guy's name? Shaq. I saw a video with the wrecker towing the car away, and I guess the police would have arrested the perpetrators there, and it was a whole thing.
Wow.
So, and I say all of that to say that everybody knew about the robberies. Everybody wanted someone to be held accountable, and they were arrested, right?
Yes.
These are supposedly the suspects and that committed the crime.
Oh, they
So-
arrested people.
Yeah, there's a video going around from Shaq. You know Shaq, the guy that does what's it called?
Model cop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Oh,
Jamsa.
that was-
he
that was
on
sitting
here.
here, yeah.
Yes.
Jamsa, you
Okay.
should know Shaq. He's model cop.
Yeah. Well,
Right. So,
Oh.
so there's a video circulating.
Yes.
Let me see if I can send it to you guys. And they're saying that these are supposedly the persons that robbed the two Ram supermarket.
So okay.
But on the same topic, I was supposed to, I'll send it now. I was supposed to send you guys the Dwyer's commentary. He sent it to me yesterday. But Dwyer is making a case for the death penalty
Oh, he is.
to be expanded to include things like this. So he lays out a case where he says, well, imagine you're running a business and you have someone running up in there with a gun and, you know, terrifying and traumatizing everyone and, you know, taking your money, blah, blah, blah. He makes a pretty good case, I
But
think.
is it based on the first offense or a repeat offender? Like
No,
just
he's
handing
saying,
out
no,
death
he's
penalty?
saying, but I think what he's saying is it's gotten beyond the pale now. So he was saying that we need to stop letting the Western world, you know, the Europeans, with their bleeding heart sensibilities when it comes to the death penalty,
Were we
deciding.
imposing Sharia law?
Well, come on, that's the
I'm
other
just
extreme.
asking.
There's a large middle ground.
I
Where
remember I didn't listen to it, right? So I'm just
yeah.
asking what
Yeah,
was
I have
being
to listen to it,
imposed.
but based on the fact, you know, the death penalty is a sentence that is associated, you know, when you have been convicted of the capital punishment, the offense of murder.
Capital
So
offense.
yeah, the capital offense. So I mean, I'll listen to
Sounds a
his
bit
clip.
intense.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
intrigued. Thanks.
And even
You've now
even
perked my
as it relates
We
to
could at least play some of it.
yeah, but even as it
because-
relates to the death penalty, we realize within recent time, as you have said, indicated or highlighted, the
I mean,
the use of the death penalty is almost it's almost at a state based on the academic and the thing almost
it basically has rarefied use now. But
it really
Yes.
doesn't
Yes.
happen.
what he's saying
Because
is
you
that
have to
should-
say because the
Yeah.
threshold has to be the worst of the worst. And what is the worst
For
of the
me,
worst?
I've
Well, so
always
he's
been on the
saying-
fence with that.
he's
huh?
making the case that the worst of the worst should be expanded.
Okay, I
Um,
didn't get a chance
yeah.
to listen to it.
But
How long is it?
it's about 18 minutes. But we don't have to play all of
Yeah.
it.
I mean, we could break it up in segments
Yeah.
once we
For
once
me,
we
I've
take-
always been on the fence with the death penalty, and I'll tell you what. In this modern day and age, like I've seen more and more instances whereby it's a good thing we didn't implement that. Like now there's DNA testing and
Yeah.
more ways of finding out who actually committed the crime,
Mm-hmm.
and you're seeing more and more persons coming out of jail that were not supposed to be there. Persons being held, responsible. And those persons are actually innocent because they were
Yes, but-
incarcerated because of skin color,
but remember-
circumstances, that type of thing. So more and more, I'm on the
But,
fence
but
about
remember,
the death penalty.
but remember, when someone says something like this, it's assumed that the person is guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. Obviously, if Shaq's thing turns out to be right, what is it? What is the defense guy gonna argue? Oh, it's not really them. It's they're clones of them running around. Oh, I
AIs,
mean, come on,
AIs.
But my point is,
No, but
think,
I
think
do
of it
see
this
what you
way.
mean.
Think of it this way: if worst of the worst to me should include like someone like pedophiles and,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
people who rape.
You have my vote there.
I feel like rape should be like a capital offense. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of things. So under certain
No,
under certain
I'm on the
circumstances,
same page with him with
under
rape and
certain-
pedophilia.
under certain circumstances, armed robbery, yes, absolutely. I mean, you hit two in the same night.
At that point,
I mean, you got balls
We
that
definitely
tough.
should do the Sharia law thing
Yeah,
and
I mean-
start cutting off hands, right?
These people have balls of brass.
I know. It's
Yeah.
the brazenness for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I go there. Oh, I didn't get enough. Let me hit up the other one.
yeah,
We have a caller.
yeah. Go ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
When it comes to justice, when it comes to the law, when it comes to judgment, one have to be very cautiously careful. The other day, there was a commentary made by Dwight Astafan, and I enjoy his commentary, which I normally do. And one of the things that he said was that the penalty to be handed out to someone who commits such crime. And I can tell you this, I certainly agree with him in that aspect. Because I know that if you threaten someone, it's just as good as committing the act. That is why with a threat, the police have to act on it. Because you could carry out that threat if they sit still and do nothing. And someone was very upset about the fact that carrying out the death penalty for committing the act of robbery. Robbery could be murder, could end up in a murder situation. And we must also remember that justice is not free and it's not cheap. But the story that was told to me is that this young man who was living with a brother and his brother committed some crime and put some stuff in the same house, and the brother went away, and actually the brother who was in the house ended up holding the bag because he was in the location of the house. And possession carry a higher sentence than the one who steal it, because if you in possession of stolen goods, you are looked upon as the one who encourages and aided and abetted in it. And so you facilitate the robber to do that because you give them the privilege of dumping the goods or selling or trading the goods with you. I understand all of that. But the person who have reached to the position, to the place of having gone to prison and serve a sentence for crime that he did not commit. And the thing is that if it was a death penalty, this young man would have been dead. This now young man have went to prison, served the time, and actually for the room of the things that his brother have committed. which he was innocent. He claimed that he's innocent. And the thing is that what he said, there's a possibility of being innocent. And so therefore, when it comes to sentencing of carrying out acts, we have to be very cautiously careful. That is why you have trial where it brings out the evidence, and sometimes you have some jury, sometimes the job sleep, sometimes they don't even hear and they wake up and they say guilty. But we got to be cautious and we have to trust the system. But at the same time, if you need redress, if you need to carry on a case to get it more further open and appeal and so, it's a very costly process. So we have to tread carefully.
But the thing is,
innocent until proven guilty.
I agree with you, but the thing is, when we say this, it's assumed, I was telling Candy, it's assumed that the person is
Guilty, definitely
incontrovertibly guilty. It's not a question of shadow of a doubt and all that. It's like this person did this. We have camera footage, or we had 5 witnesses,
Evidence,
whatever the
evidence.
case. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
Obviously,
yes, yes,
you're gonna have those situations where you're not really sure and stuff. So
Right.
yeah.
Without beyond the shadow of
Yeah,
a doubt.
yeah, but remember the act of theft carry a smaller weight than the act of possession. If you're found in possession, you carry a stronger sentence than the person who carried out the crime. So we have to watch the line of location, because somebody could toss something in your direction, you find yourself in possession of it, and you gone to jail for innocently that you don't know, you can't even defend yourself.
But here's how I would
And
look
so
at
we
that.
already have that, and so to go into death penalty or life sentence, we have to be very cautious. All I'm saying is that I'm not saying a man is not guilty, but let us make sure that we do checks and balances before we start calling a man guilty, because I wouldn't want to have it on my conscience to send in an innocent man to prison or to the gallows. No way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even though I understand that when you threaten a man, it's just as good as if you're carrying out the act.
Okay, so I know you've been speaking about possession and theft. So when you say theft, what are you referring to?
Robbery. Anytime you take anything, to me is robbery.
Okay, because
Once you rob
there's
somebody
some
and
there's
you
some
use firearm in the act and
Okay.
so on, and
Because
you get caught in the act.
I
But you
understand
have
what
to
you
make
said,
sure
because we
that you
use
have
certain
that.
terms, and in things and these we speak about larceny, which is different from robbery. Because robbery is when you misappropriate, but you use
Isn't that more like when you take it from the person? Whereas
no
larceny is if-
robbery involve the use of force. So it's like
Oh, okay.
so
Yes,
there's certain academic things. So that's why we use certain terms, and so I understand. I think I understand when you mean possession, because in possession you are found with it, so you're possessing it.
With the goods, with the stolen goods.
And I think when you say robbery is the fact that someone might have taken it but not have been found with it, but given to someone else, right?
Well, you have a double whammy. You have a double edge of it, because one could steal the goods, one could rob with the goods, and not found in possession of them because they find somewhere to discard the goods and put it on somebody
Yeah.
else, and
So
the person end up holding the bag because of
I'm
value
thinking-
of
I'm
someone
thinking
knowing
in-
back
I'm-
of the past robbery.
I'm thinking that is where you meet. That is what you were referring to when you're talking about the difference in
Correct,
sentencing and
correct.
so. But then
Correct.
I just want you to know there are certain terms that we use, but if we were to go before the law, or before the court, certain terms that we use naturally that we understand to be differentiated when you have offenses.
Agreed upon.
Okay.
Agreed upon. But remember, justice.
But I take
must
your
not
points here.
I'll only be done, but it must be seen to be done. And so, while justice will be seen to be done for the victim, it must also be seen to be done for the person who commit the act also.
Yeah.
So justice must be served on all sides of life, to be making sure that the person carry out the act and where they carry out the act and so on, etc. You'll have a different setting in a court of law.
Yes. Because
But
sometimes,
at the end of the day,
yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, but at the same time, I'm a citizen and I'm a human being.
So I
and
understand what you mean.
I would like justice to set out.
Essentially,
If it's set out for me, I like it to set out to somebody else's property.
yeah, I understand what you mean. Essentially.
Thanks a lot for your time, and I'm not going to keep up anymore.
Thank you for calling. Have a good one today.
Continue to educate and give information as it really fitted to give. to the
No
general.
problem.
Awesome. Thank you so
You
much.
have a good day.
Thank
You
you
too.
so much. Yes.
All right, then we have another call.
Big. Yeah. So, Yeah. So, I mean, it will be a very interesting discussion if we were to go into the use and the application of death penalty, because the death penalty is on our books. And when you say on our books, our constitution provides for the death penalty. But then our constitution and laws are interpreted by the court.
We have a call.
We have a call.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Just one quick thing. I might call back.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Gumbs,
Yes.
as a lawyer, could you explain what circumstantial evidence means? I'm going to listen.
Well, I mean, I could go in further, but on the face of it, circumstantial evidence means evidence that it might not be direct, and I'm going to use some terms, it might not be direct, but based on the chain, things that happen in a sequence, it seems as though it's pointing towards one thing happening or one person doing that thing based on I don't like to use the same, the circumstances of the situation, Yeah, you put me on the spot, but it's basically, it's not direct, but based on what you are seeing happening, you could reasonably assume that individual would have done it based on what is being gathered.
Well, he said he would listen off air. So
Yeah.
I guess he got his answer.
So it's sort of like we don't know that the armed robbers have balls of brass, but we could kind of go like 90% chance they have balls of brass.
Sir.
They hit two.
So circumstantial evidence is the proof of a fact or set of facts from which one could infer the fact in question. It does not directly prove that a defendant committed a crime. Examples of circumstantial evidence include seeing snow on the ground, evidence that it snowed last night; seeing people with wet feet and umbrellas, evidence that it was raining outside; seeing a suspect running away from a murder scene with a weapon, evidence that he committed the murder; hearing a shot and seeing a suspect leave a house, evidence that he killed someone. So, again, circumstantial evidence is proof of a fact or set of facts from which one could infer that the fact in question. One could infer the fact in question. So again, it's not like directly, but based on a series of facts or set of facts, one could infer. It's all about inference when you speak about circumstantial evidence. It's inference.
Yeah, I kind of like you. I like those examples. Let's take a call. Okay. What I was thought was interesting was the first one. You ever heard of Occam's razor?
Say it. No, but go ahead. Maybe.
Okay, Occam's razor says that the most likely explanation is usually the right one.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. But
So
I've never
I
heard
was-
the term like that.
Yeah, but so what I was thinking when you talked about the snow on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, someone, some contortionist lawyer will say, well, how do you know somebody didn't come out with a snow machine and sprayed it on
Or
the ground? But
somebody's on
then,
top of the roof
right,
tearing it down.
but there's like a infinitesimal chance that was the case. So you have to say, well, yeah, it definitely snowed last night.
And
You
based
know what I
on
mean?
this is why and situations like this and scenarios like this is why we have a court present, and you have prosecution and defense and bringing evidence to support or to not support what is being said or to cast doubt.
Hello,
Yes.
good morning.
Wow. Yeah, the callers are pouting at us today. They call one ringtone that they had up.
Uh-oh.
Caller, go right ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, D3 Great.
Good morning, how are you?
I am good. Just short. I'm just responding to the first caller there. I am in agreement with him that we have to be cautious, very cautious. Well, is cautious. The cameras were cautious. Were they able to pick up the culprits? So once the camera pick you up and have you, we don't need no more cautious behavior or attitude or observation to find you guilty. And I agree with Dwyer. I've been saying that for years. Capital punishment. I don't care. Once we catch you guilty, we don't have to go and ask, did you see this post? Who you see do it? And then they say, well, let's see Bonanza do it. No. We have to be very cautious if you're going to ask somebody. But if you see them for yourself, definitely, and you could convince the court, see him there, these are the evidence that I see. well then let the capital punishment come true. But once you got to go around and ask the whole community question about who you think, do you believe is he or she? No. Mm-mm. You can't hang them for that. But once you catch you in the act, that's it. Let's go. And do what you say? You don't want no load of, what you call it, the people, them, the jurors. Don't pull on nothing with no jurors.
Oh, yeah.
Because jurors can be bribed. And a lot of that has been done. And I agree with him. Let we go. Once we catch you, that's it. No putting up.
Yeah, he actually said he said we can have a system where rather than jurors.
Okay, I'll move. Let someone else get in. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Yeah,
one.
just expanding your point, Culture. He was saying rather than have a jury, you could have two judges who actually rule.
Of course.
And I thought that was interesting. I
Are
also
you able to play any of it? Or is
yeah, I'm gonna play it.
I know.
But I also think that I believe that appeals should be curtailed, especially when there's incontrovertible evidence that it's. I mean, because judges can deny appeals, right?
But you have to have grounds to deny, just like you have grounds to appeal, and then the judge has to look at these grounds and see whether or not they have merit. But I'm listening to Jamsa and saying, why if Jamsa was doing criminal law, he definitely will be on the prosecution. He'll be a prosecutor.
I'm a hardliner with some of this stuff, man.
Yeah, he definitely will be a prosecutor. But as you said before, and that has been a discussion, whether we should have continue to have such cases being heard by the jury, and the jury makes the verdict, or you should put it in the hands of, just the judges, as you say, and it has different models.
Because why I reference the fact that jurors could be intimidated.
a lot of things can happen,
But the pros for the jury system by persons and, academics and so is that, you feel more, the idea is you feel more secure that you have members of the country, the citizens actively involved in the court process. So it's like a participation of persons, not just those within the legal fraternity, but also having persons out there in the community actually weighing in on decisions and at the end of the day coming up with a decision.
We have another call. Island, you're on here. Okay. I'm gonna do my new thing from now. I'm gonna punch them in first and then
say.
All right. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we tend to hear them with the background too.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Hello.
Oh, you guys.
Yes.
Good morning. I'm Jamsa. And the nice wife lady and Azard. I don't come different for justice and fairness.
Let's hear
We have some businessmen right now in 1840. Serve this country well. When the government garbage shut them down, they sit in and work for the government. The government got a sum of money for these gentlemen. Okay? You following me, Candice?
Yes, I'm listening.
They have a sum of money for these gentlemen. They owe Social Security some money, a good amount of money we're hearing. Because citizens don't get the truth in thinkers, from these organizations. So I go on and say that you shouldn't got these men in 1840 who hiring poor people, looking out for poor people, and got them in a dungeon lockdown. Then kill 20 people. Social Security, the Attorney General should call in these people, get them to pay up Social Security money. For me, as a street man, I will pay them, and they will work out the office with a check. Social Security must go to this man and find ways and means to get this money. Not just kind of in the country in a stinking jail from 1840. We got to be better than that, because I will go on to say, I know so much people gone to the great beyond. With politicians, good friends, them, we're doing the same thing, and they get weight of preferential treatment. And these things I'm doing in the country in 2023. Because I'm not going to fight against these things. And loud and clear, I say it. I don't care how much they put up the face. They get it done with father, they get it done with son. And it got to stop. Let us stop calling them that. Let these young men in the prison. They're criminals. Let them go. There's business people in this society. Let them go. And arrange ways to pay that social security money. And give the public information on it. Because it's wrong. Have a good day. This is Jam Dong speaking.
Thanks a lot for your
Thank you for your contribution, Jam Dong. Yes.
So basically, they're in prison because they failed to pay Social Security for their workers?
Well, you know, yeah.
Okay, guys, it's 8:43. Let's take a quick break and then we come back. Oh, and Sharina reminded us that today is actually when the cube happens. So,
oh yes, we may want to give persons a little understanding of what the cube is.
Yeah, so I'm gonna play the commercial over here first, and then we get the rest of our commercial break.
Yes, awesome.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Get ready for the Cube Business Expo hosted here in beautiful St. Kitts at the Marriott on Friday, August 18th. The Cube will feature creative products and services from Sabre, Stacia, St. Martin, St. Kitts, and Nevis. Explore a world of creativity. General admission is free. Doors open 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. See you at the Cube on Friday, August 18th.
Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park Society presents its annual Summer Emancipation Festival. It takes place on Sunday, 20th August, starting at 3 p.m. sharp. Admission, $15 for adults, $5 for children. Come and be entertained in the art forms of calypso, dance, folklore, and much more. This event is sponsored by the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, First Federal Cooperative Credit Union, St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla National Bank, Caribbean Credit Card Corporation Limited, Elco Limited, and TDC Group of Companies. See you this coming Sunday.
Caribbean numbers come and play. Just one single dollar, that is the way. You can pick one number or two or three. I win up to 20,000, you see. 3 ways to play, 3 draws a day, 3 ways to win. Hear what we say. Caribbean numbers is the easiest game to play.
The new Caribbean numbers.
So play today.
At any Caribbean lottery agent island-wide.
So play today.
It's here! The final member of the Scratch and Win Multiplier Suite. You can win over $875,000 in cash prizes with the new 20X The Cash game from the Caribbean Lottery. This excellent new $5 game is an easy way for you to multiply your money. You can even play it with our other multiplier games like 50X and 100X The Cash to maximize your winnings. So, play the new Scratch game, 20X The Cash, today. Available at Caribbean Lottery retail agents island-wide. Must be ages 21 and over to play.
Social Security.
Hey, we're having more fun in here than we're having on the air right now.
Oh my goodness.
That was too funny.
Yeah.
What? Oh
you know, the off-scene blooper moment.
You know, it's funny, right? A lot of times, like, sometimes we're having talk shows and like something. I remember one time with CJ, right? And like the stuff we were talking about in between the break was even more interesting than what we were talking about.
Exactly,
You know?
exactly. It was you going under the table for me.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes you have to, I mean, Jamsa is the one who doesn't try to tailor for the radio or thing, but you know, sometimes we have to tailor ourselves.
Because he's not on air.
I am on the air.
I mean, like, they're not seeing you.
Yeah, but if they've seen me,
So
it
we
make
have
a
to
difference.
maintain composure.
Yes.
Oh
You guys
my
want to take a call?
goodness, Sure.
Call or go right ahead.
Greetings, IT. Thanks for
Hey,
taking the
what's up?
call.
No
All right, good
problem.
morning.
That's
How you
what we're
doing?
here for.
No, but sometimes you can't take it neither.
Yeah, that is
You can't
true.
throw the book, see, I start asking if God can take.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I did say that in some murders, we have to consider how that happened, And we're glad he said that because sometimes it can be different, it's not intentional, it's self-defense and things like that, We're glad we coming on top of it. All the men in this law thing, because law enslave us, So we have to be careful with the same law, because the same law still there, so, the same law will enslave us, and say, well, it's right to see us as human, care, but etc., etc. But anyhow,
yeah.
Me glad we get on top of things. But me hear John Dama say people in a jail for social security thing. That happening? You got people in prison with social security money or something like that?
Well, I mean, there would be matters whereby persons ought to have paid social security for workers, and then monies are asked for, and sometimes persons don't show up. As oftentimes you find persons who owe individuals, not just for social security, but even other matters in court, don't often show up, and then you have to carry out the matter, in their absence, and so then you have the judgment summons, and then afterwards the warrant. So it's a process. Yeah, it's a process. But there are persons who.
One time to a white man, they compared. Sure, you want to go through that day again, Because the boy, they was fighting me, the landlord was fighting me. Me fix up house and tell him take it out the rent, and him go on with that kind of thing, and then carry me court, and his mother said me for pay money. Me decide me not pay the money,
And so
carry me jeep.
And so you went to jail eventually?
Yeah, man. Then come pick me up, and my right friend come pay the money and take me out.
Yeah, and I'm sure you will have had the judgment summons too, and then after that they'll issue the the warrant.
Yeah. Okay. What in my mind right now is how we're dealing with this polite violence. What about murderers who won't shed blood? We have to find a way, at dealing with polite violences, Like plenty, it nothing we made, it nothing with society, Polite violence.
Give us an example of polite violence.
Pardon?
Give us an example.
Polite violence, nothing. People who use them mouth to murder people.
You mean to incite us,
They use the mouth, they use the tongue to do all kind of things with people.
Okay, so
which is almost like killing people without shedding the blood.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Polite violence, nothing with society, and it leads up to the bloodletting, bloody violence, the cold-blooded violence. It starts there with the polite violence, and then sometimes, if not all times, it leads right up to bloodshedding.
So when you say, I'm thinking about your whole mindset and everything, and it's something deep. When you talk about polite violence without the shedding of blood, it's like you're not destroying the body, but you're destroying the soul.
Yes, it's deep, but it is happening. It is not something that is not happening in our midst. It is happening, and we are not tackling it. We are just looking at the point where, all right, it reaches the point where blood start to shed, All right. Let's deal with all the robbery then. In certain places, like my right brethren was telling me about Norway, how they reform them thing and people not even getting the thoughts to do certain things. Right? Because how them set them thing. And we talk about things in Singapore and them places there. When you got your citizens, when you set your citizens to live to a certain standard and everything is all right with people, right? there is no room to get taught to do certain things unless you got some elements where really it deep in them, and we have to banish them kind of elements there. It's either we banish them out of society or we put them where they belong until they reform. But in general, people know how to think them ready to do certain things because the society is well taken care of. Everything is good. You see me?
Yeah.
Even politicians themselves commit polite violence, telling lies, etc. Hey, polite violence, nothing limits, you know. Enough, and we're not dealing with it. We are just dealing with bloodshed, blah, blah. We're not touching polite violence. We're not touching it. Like yesterday was Marcus Messiah Garvey out there, right? And Marcus Messiah Garvey, as a politician, he see the need to be part of politics because he see to go in there, you're inside there, you can make touchable, tangible changes. So he formed a party named the PPP. Now, Marcus Garvey make a comment one time about politicians, about people in high places. He said, pay such people well. But if such people mess up, then bear the consequences, and the consequences is to stone them publicly, them and them family. Me say it again, me hear Isa say that sound like was Sharia law or some kind of thing. But the point is, you take care of people to a point where that ought not to, corruption ought not to be even in their thoughts. You see me? Mm-hmm. Much more to go to the act. Because you are taken care of so well. Like the same point me just make. When you take care of your citizens, everything is all right with people. Then you get me taught to go rob Rams and to go rob Bam and to go rob blah blah. Unless them element there, it ingrained in them, and we know to deal with them kind of elements there.
Mm-hmm.
Them start out and we know to deal with them, but hey, it deep, you know.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
I mean, nothing with this law, the same law here wine slavery, you know. The same law would say it's all right for me to be a human cargo, you know. We have problem with this law here, you know.
Yeah.
Because the same law almost still from the books, you know. The same law say, well, it's all right to enslave me for hundreds of years, you know. You know this law thing, you know. Unless it I know the case in the try it, you know. We keep saying it, you know. We keep saying it. The case there with gross crime against humanity. The case in the China Hague, not know yet. Why? Hey, Virgin, you as a liar. Me love for young liars them to agitate these things I know.
You made some interesting points.
Now, this one, a white man who married to a Jamaican and was part of the reparation committee in Jamaica, he keeps saying the same thing in a white man, you know. He said, why this case, the worst crime against humanity, is not tried all now, 2023? Why can't try?
You have indeed made some really good points as it relates to that, and as you have said, when it was during that time when we had slavery, the laws of England and would have been the laws here would have supported that as being lawful. And so the question is, when you think about that, is it can an unlawful law be made? Was an unlawful law made? It's so many academic and so many deep discussions that had to be had. And you look at, different train of thoughts when it comes to law. You have laws when it comes from a natural view. When you have natural law theorists, and you have positive theorists when it comes to law, where the positive theorist thinks that law doesn't need to be just or justifiable once it is supported by a sovereign. It is passed by a sovereign, and the people, regardless whether the fact is fair or not, accept that law. And so when you discuss that and when you talk about that, it comes to my train of thought goes through the positive view and the naturalist view when it comes to law. Yeah, jurisprudence and everything. So those are some really deep discussions that you have really presented here before us this morning.
The issue is, and it goes back to morals. And it's always going to be against that, because what you may see as wrong or immoral might not be the same, and moral versus law.
For example, a positive, we might look at a law like, let's say, the traffic lights. You say if you break the traffic lights, that is something that is forced. Is there any really morality associated with the law when it comes to traffic lights? Is there something really a moral basis? You understand?
But if you break it and you hit somebody and that person happens to die, so it comes back to, should I break the traffic light and think that it's okay, or should I maintain the law and wait until it's green and ready to go?
But then at the very basis, can't you charge them with vandalism?
Vandalism.
I mean, you said
but there will be crimes against.
If they break the light.
There should be regulations that provide that if you break the lights laws, then there will be sanctions and so.
I mean, it's like the people, those mirror, people can't keep destroying the mirrors.
They keep destroying the mirrors at the blind
people
corners.
People are sick.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
Those will be offenses when it comes to property and stuff like that, destruction of property.
I think it really comes back to the individual, because some of the same laws that our caller doesn't like, some of them help to preserve the same society that we're living in, so that you can live a certain way. So
and then
there's always going to be persons who want to accept some of it and don't. And then
you have laws, because laws are created,
to maintain order.
Yet, and the purpose is for order and stability and peace and good governance. And then you realize that laws change over time. So what might have been what is perhaps legal now, maybe if you look at it 50 years ago, even 100 years ago, would have been illegal, and vice versa.
But to Eli's point, who's to say that 50 years from now that some of these laws that pertain now, you look back and go, boy, what were we thinking?
Oh, that's what he's saying. Azard is saying it evolves based on society, because some of the things, look, we now have cyber bullying. We have the Electronic Data Act. So we never had that before. We didn't even have cell phones. Nobody could have gone online and harassed you or anything like that.
I mean, as much as I don't like, as much as no one likes, let's say, the institution of slavery, I understand the argument where some people put forth the argument that, well, they're a product of their time, and it was just the zeitgeist at the time where everybody did it, and blah, blah, blah. They had picnics to hang people, blah, blah, blah. And I understand it. So some people get up and say, some people want to strip out the human nature element and say, well, you want to tell me they couldn't do something about it? It's not that simple, because I can think of examples now where all kinds of crap goes on and we don't do anything about it, even though we don't like it and we don't approve, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Now they're even passing laws for AIs and GPT chat and all
You're food for
that.
thought,
Yeah.
Food for thought. And this polite violence is deep. It's very deep.
It really is.
And we're not tackling it. We're not tackling polite violence. Polite violence is in the all sector of our society. Also, from the bottom down right up to the top, polite violence. Politicians dash it over one another.
Yeah, that's
dash it
mudslinging,
over one another, and them take it up and dash it up on each other too, and then you have it in different forms, religiously. It's rampant in the society, and no one is tackling polite violence until you reach to a point where it blood on.
Somebody on our Facebook comment, or on our Facebook wall, made a really good comment. And they said, I think what he's referring to as polite violence is defamation of character and or threatening or mental anguish, words hurt, personal assassination against an individual. And I actually liked it, because that is exactly the way I understand it to, that's what he means. And I think when he says politicians, it's the mudslinging. In church you go and it's like they're on the pulpit, and the things that they're saying is like they're basically beating you into submission, and it's words. But he's absolutely right. We're not paying enough attention to it. I think some persons don't quite get it. But, we keep trying. So hopefully we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. But, Elder, I mean, you have really given us some food for thought. And had it not been for your call, we wouldn't have had such a, to go into such a deep thinking as it relates to...
Pulled out all the legal stuff.
Yes.
But we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back. Yes. Thank you so much for your call.
Calm you down. Check out the story. You know what I mean? 1998.
Found the sound. 98.9.
$50,000? $50,000? Win big with TDC. Win up to $50,000 cash in the TDC Mega Rewards Mega Raffle. To enter, you must be a Mega Rewards member or sign up to TDC Mega Rewards Loyalty Program. Shop at our TDC retail stores or online at shoptdcgroup.com to receive one entry for every $250 spent. Draws take place from July to November. Win $10,000 every month with your entry rolled over so you can win even more.
Yes, this is 50.
Terms and conditions apply.
The biggest party in sport is back for 2023. And the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots will need your support at Warner Park. CPL will be bigger, better and louder than ever before. And this year, the Patriots are ready to bounce back and claim the title once again. The games are between the 23rd and 27th of August. Get your tickets now at cplt20.com. Join the party. Experience cricket played louder.
Get ready for the Cube Business Expo hosted here in beautiful St. Kitts at the Marriott on Friday, August 18th. The Cube will feature creative products and services from Sabre, Stacia, St. Martin, St. Kitts, and Nevis. Explore a world of creativity. General admission is free. Doors open 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. See you at the Cube on Friday, August 18th.
Four minutes after 9 o'clock. It's a little piece of that CP tune that scored her Soca Monarch win, and I think a runner-up for road match. I think.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think it was second for road match. Not you, not today.
Oh, she's singing about Bad My People.
Yeah, that like I love that.
Oh, I actually know this song.
Yeah.
I just didn't know who sang it.
Yeah,
okay.
CP, Claudette Peters.
So do they do the same categories like us, like power, soca,
yeah,
groovy,
but they call their power jumpy. They say groovy for groovy, but
so there's groovy and
jumpy is what they call it. Yeah.
Wow, weird.
Antigans always have to be different, right?
And we have what power and groovy.
Power and groovy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So power falls on the you get up, you
anything over 135, anything over 135 BPM.
Oh, so
like
that's
hard fat. Hard fat is like the fast stuff. Like basically like all the fast songs like grandmas. Those would all be power soca because of the speed and so on. Let's go back to the phone lines. Island T, you are on. Hey.
You as a barrister, you know what you're talking about, So don't play it off so with Eli X. Like it's just a casual thing in social. See? Mm-hmm. That thing is very serious in your constituency because you know about it. So tell the public the truth, man, and stop dope things. No. You all can't be doing that on the show. It's public knowledge. And these two businessmen shouldn't in prison. When it happened to people, and some big people who align themselves with political party getting preferential treatment when they find themselves in these things. Stop the things, man.
Yeah, he's talking
because
about...
the poor people defender will come.
He's talking about the social security matter.
Stop the thing. Don't watch out.
He's talking about...
It's a simple thing and he don't deal. No.
And Jam down, when we...
Just like our grandson, people in town console.
Yes.
I hear them in the circus every day.
I
talking
don't
about
jam
it.
down before you go. I don't think
Yes.
Eli was specifically speaking to that one
No,
thing.
he wanted to be truth.
Oh, you mean when he
He
asks the
wants to be
questions?
true, and
When
you
he
know,
asks
and you
if
should put it
persons
up
are in
there.
prison for Social Security, that one question. Yeah, there are persons who would be in prison for the payment, for non-payment. I mean, you know. Yeah, and we know of
They're
individuals.
trying to make
We know of individuals.
We is not saying that these gentlemen should not pay Social Security money.
Mhm.
As a big agitator that.
Yes.
They have to pay. And they got to done with that kind of foolishness.
Mhm.
Taking out people money and then paying it show.
Yes.
But people before who align themselves with well-known politicians do the same and the financial treatment and not just them, the title. This is jam down. I born here and I will speak here because people who are in England is here talking. So I will talk. Remember in Azard
Yes.
and the panel that years ago, too much people work with these people and up there in the cemetery. Some of them couldn't even get the opportunity to get the 200 and the 2,000 and of the social and the work aliens clearly sweat for these people. I got to funerals here, the family and all that. It's bad and we got to attack these things. These things must wipe off the land in 2023. And I, the poor people defender, will fight and with the wickedness enough. All of them. The next time I return, and I am sure, I can tell you how I feel about parliamentarians. We're getting subsistence. We keep the poor man who pushing a boom on the road. The next time I return. Have a good day. And have a good day, Candisie.
Thank you so much. You too, Jam
Yes.
down.
Old people come to the circus.
I definitely will try to pass by.
Yes. Well, I know the individual and individuals who we are alluding to.
Oh, I am totally
yeah,
clueless. I know it
I
actually
know
happens, and I know it's after an accumulation. So it would have been that they would have reached out to them, they wrote them, they warned them, you know, they seek them out, they sit down, they try. So it's not, and I think that's the way the process actually works.
I don't think when Jamdong is alluding to other things.
I don't know
Yeah.
any individual that has actually been in prison for it, but I remember back in the day I would see when I was into buying the newspapers. Now I just go online. You would see persons' name listed for non-payment of Social Security in the newspaper. So I know it happens. We have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys.
How are
Hey,
you?
Journey.
Yeah. Now, the caller before Jamdon spoke about polite violence, right? And he also mentioned crimes against humanity. Well, I'm going to take up that end of where he left off. Now, let us look at what we have. Now, I always tie what is happening scripturally to our physical reality. In the scripture, it says Satan does not go against Satan. The caller is asking for those who have committed crime against our people in genocide and atrocity. He is calling for them to be taken to The Hague. But who is in charge of The Hague? And then the book tells us that Satan does not go up against Satan. We have seen our people killed in America by police, running back turn with their hands up, and they're being gunned down. These are the things that we are calling on. And let me say this, guys, respectfully, Azard, Candisie, and Jamster, if you guys know and you remain silent, you are complicit indirectly by saying, well, I'm okay with it. We are not okay with it. We have to let our voices be heard because together our voices together can make change. If we remain quiet, it would continue. Our human rights and United Nations, they know of our people fleeing the continent and perishing in the Mediterranean, but they don't care. It's like they're saying, well, the more of you perish, it's easier for we to come and exploit. Guys, we have to pay attention to these narratives. because there's always an agenda. Now, let us look at what is happening. And guys, I know I am all over the place, but my passion is for us to be restored. We have to be restored. I am not against other race, but we have to be restored. We were interrupted and disrupted because, guys, before, we were a collective in our space and we had everything. Now, whether the Christian community is going to say, well, we disobeyed and that is why we are in this misery. But let us look at what we had before we were interrupted and disrupted. They left the space. Where have the black men gone on this planet and did what they have done to us? Where? Again, I support Ras Ichut. We have to call for them to be tried. Let the hate, but again, we glorify the book because the book says Satan cannot go against Satan. Guys, you see how deep this thing is? And we are comfortable with it because we remain mute. It's like they're saying, well, hey, they're doing to us and we're not saying anything. Will that make it okay? It's not okay, guys. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Journey. Have a good one today.
Journey.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yep. You know, I think sometimes people forget that we also have a responsibility to only speak on things that we know of, and there's something called defamation that exists.
Mm-hmm. And so we might see certain circumstances out there.
Circumstantial evidence,
yeah.
right?
We might see certain things, but we might not be in a position where we have all the information. And so also we are very careful in which, what we say, So we have to be very careful as it relates to that because we might not be in a position to know what is happening, the full story.
No, we don't know all the evidence.
Yes.
All the facts.
Yes. Go ahead, Carla.
Meetings for the IT. Circumstantial evidence. Easy evidence here. See, we present here in this plantation, the trauma where we got you. You want more evidence than this?
Well, Elder, I think that in that regard, I think that we were speaking to the matter when it comes to, the social security matter. Because I think you mentioned that if persons are in prison for social security, but you went on to other things after that.
Yes.
And so,
No, to the social security, what's here? Double standard.
Mm-hmm.
So we just talk about polite violence.
Mm-hmm.
We see the present hand-to-mouth wage, right? What they call minimum wage, as polite violence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, we be serious about these things, The present minimum wage is polite violence. And then now, recently me was having a reasoning with my boss, Agent Lamb, and he was making me know how this 17% VAT work. It just keep going down the line. Every time it change on, the 17% VAT add on. Me say, what? Hey, sure. We not paying attention to polite violence. And as we said before, people are seeing it, feeling it, and the reaction going to be enough. And some of the reaction is not going to be pleasant. When you have people paying people this kind of salary, and they have to face the fire of this economic whatever that we are in. This is straight polite violence. And then now you're going to tackle a man who refused to bring in a money what he collect. Not the same money, not the same crime. No crime right across the board. So, hey, it's not level, a double standard. It's double standard. right, set good example. You can't say, all right, you're going to hit me for this and you do the same thing on whatever. Remember, we say it, we keep echoing it, Many are the murderers who do not shed blood. Them don't even touch a gun. But them shedding blood, them killing people daily. We're not dealing with this kind of violence. We're not dealing with these kind of murders. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And it's going to reach to a point where, hey, it's going to be terrible. It is going to be terrible. Because we have a generation that come up, We have a generation that come up. Them going to be different. So we better set things in the order that it should set. Remember, see me just starting, see me just make a point about our presence in these plantations that's still, We are still here, we are the evidence of the theft that took place, When you go to court and you say, John Brown steal radio from Mr. White. Where's the radio? See there, it's in court. We found it in his home. We are the evidence. We still here. Bob Marley thinks black survivors as brown as the complexion is, he associates himself with his mother, Mrs. Fidela Boko, who black like tar. Yeah? And they think he hate his father, but just justice and truth and rights. As a Rasta man, we are the black survivors. Hundreds of years we got through it. We still there. We the evidence. What I mean. What the kind of trauma we still got through from this hundreds of years of enslavement. And then now you got people who are our own kith and kin. Can't seem to get it right or no. Can't seem to get it right or no. And then we targeting who we want to target. We sending to prison who we want to send to prison. Terrible.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But, I feel like sometimes that's life. There are just certain things that you just can't win at. Try as you might.
Mm-hmm.
And in every society, there are double standards. We are aware of that. So, what can you do? You continue fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I was just told that there'll be a story on Dwyer's commentary on the midday news. So,
were you able to? Oh,
yeah, I have
so
it queued up. Yeah, I have it queued up. Yeah, I was just waiting.
You could go. I don't think we have any calls right now.
No, we don't. Have any
calls
now,
so maybe like
we should be able to get through a good amount of
2-3 minutes.
About 3 minutes. Yeah, about 3 minutes.
Well, it might not be 3 minutes.
It's the shortest one you have.
Still, thing is coming at 9:30, but
yeah.
But
we don't want to kill it up to 9:30. We want to comment after you play it.
Yeah,
so give us a good part.
Yeah, we give it a good part and
right,
at least get the essence.
Yes.
And,
so we got at least comment on that
that's
section.
what let us hear.
Yeah. Dwyer, you really have to do some of them shorter though.
I hope he's listening to you.
He's probably laughing. But, let me see. Here we go.
You know, when you get on your soapbox, sometimes you just can't hold back.
Okay, what's going on now? What is going on? Let me see what's going on now. Okay.
Penalty and crime. When someone is charged with the offense of murder, there is a time, I think other offenses too, there is a time within which he or she has to be brought to trial. Failing that, the court will throw out the case. Justice delayed is justice denied. There is also a limit on the time that a person convicted of murder and sentenced to death can be held on death row. If he or she is not executed within that time, then there can be no execution thereafter. The legal system in Britain and other countries which curiously have perpetrated most of history's acts of personal and institutional mass cruelty, inhumanity, and savagery, and still do today in a more disguised way. These people have anointed themselves as the guardians and the bastions of humanitarianism and rectitude, and have guided the law, which includes our law, away from the death penalty as best they could. And only in what are considered to be exceptional circumstances will the law allow a convicted killer to be executed. So that is how things stand in our country. I don't know what the breakdown is, but some people here favor the way the law presently stands, while others see it differently. The others who see it differently want to see the death penalty actively enforced. Here are some thoughts for you to ponder on. The argument often made that the death penalty does not act as a deterrent to crime is not necessarily true. I say this because many years ago, when the death penalty was actively administered, there were less murders. Of course, times have changed, and the people back then may have had greater respect and care for life and for each other and for the law. And I don't think they were as brutish as we are today. But apart from deterring others, when someone is convicted of an extreme murder and he is executed, what the law does is deters him. After he is executed, he isn't going to kill anybody. The family and other loved ones of the victims, and with the people of the country who are hurt and often made fearful and anxious by the brutality of murder, won't now have to spend our money to feed him, to shelter him, and to safeguard him for the rest of his life after what he did to us, not just to the specific victim. And to me, this is an argument worth considering for the case of keeping the death penalty. Now, I'm not saying that the death penalty should be handed down in every case of murder, but I believe that it should be extended to other situations, along with the necessary changes in the law, to ensure that a fair and expeditious justice is exacted in each case. Now, some bleeding hearts in Europe, who, as I've indicated, after hundreds of years of oppressing, robbing, and killing not just bodies, but the minds of hundreds of millions, maybe billions of people from the south and from their own part of the world, the north. When these bleeding hearts come to you with their right to life story, remind them of the last 400 years and ask them to go and carry their story to the United States, USA, and to Singapore. We should not allow them to dictate to us. Now let's get down to some details. I believe that a person who commits robbery, who stops you on the road with a gun or a knife or another weapon, stops you in your car, comes to your home, invades your home, or goes into a business place, armed with a weapon, as I said, to rob and maybe to hurt and do whatever damage he or she needs to do in his mind to get what he or she wants. I believe that such a person should, on conviction, receive the death penalty, because the harm that he commits is far-reaching. Let us look, for example, at the scenario of a robbery at a business place. Shoppers are there. They are frightened to death. Cashiers and other workers are there. They too are frightened to death. People start to think twice before going back to that place. Workers might want to leave that place. With reduced business, the employer might lay off people. Workers and shoppers alike might need psychological and psychiatric attention. The mental and emotional scars could last a lifetime.
Okay, I guess we could leave it there now, and maybe we could take some calls until Tim comes. Fireproof. We could discuss. What do you guys think? He makes some good points, right? Oh, wait. Yeah, I had to mute
us
because the phone and everything comes up on the same.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. No, he does make some good points.
Yeah.
And you know, the last bit that he said was one of the first things I thought of when I heard about the robberies. And I actually went into Rams when I like after the whole thing occurred. And I was just like basically trying to get a sense of how the cashiers and the other workers felt. Because for me, like I was walking in and I was kind of cautious looking around. It was high day. And then I noticed that they have securities there, and the securities are actually standing at the door. And because of the timing that I went in, they were actually there opening and closing the door for you. So I guess they had disabled the automatic section of it. Mm-hmm. And it just shows you like the difference since the whole thing occurred. People are indeed traumatized, persons that want to go into the stores and persons that work there. But I still have my opinion and my own feelings about the death penalty. Yeah. I think if you can prove without the shadow of a doubt, then maybe we could discuss that. But for the most part, I've seen it happen too often where persons are found not guilty of the crime long after being incarcerated for how many years. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm really skeptical. I'm even more skeptical about implementing it.
We shouldn't let the whole thing get deflected by whether they did it or they didn't do it. Like I was saying before, assuming they did it, they need to be dealt with. I think in a more, I'm sorry.
No. That maybe stiffer penalties, and I get that. Yeah. I get that. But again, if you can prove that this is the person that did the crime, then go right ahead.
I mean, take for example, to Dwyer's point about the emotional distress and so. I was told by a Rams worker that someone actually up at camp, one of the cashiers fainted.
Of course.
I mean,
you're running in with a gun. I don't know if you're crazy and you're going to use the gun. Because most of the times when they go and they commit the robberies, they don't use the gun. But this time I saw when they robbed the Chinese supermarket, they held the gun to the guy's head. We have two calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, let me turn on the radio.
Thank you.
Firstly, let me say that you all volume and coming too good.
Oh, no.
Especially Jamster.
Sorry about that.
And I noticed when you are in the studio, the volume comes up hard.
Yeah, persons have said that, yeah.
It does fluctuate. I can attest to that because when I'm not here and I'm listening, it does. So
you mean, sorry, before you continue, just so he knows the issue. You're talking about when you... Okay, you mean on social media or you mean on radio?
On radio.
On radio, okay.
All right. John, see if you can adjust it.
I'm a WINNFM fan from since
That's interesting.
Yes. But persons have said so before.
I don't know, but we tune.
Yes, so persons have said so before.
Yeah. I was saying that Astafan mentioned Singapore and United States. But people in the U.S. still want to kill people say that they want to execute. But Singapore said already that they're carrying out the continuing law which was given to them by the British. And if you look back at the British history, when you committed murder, you know, a man used to dig out your heart and bury you in a crossroad, a cross path, where people trod on you. And times change over and over and over. So I don't know where we're going. But I'm a supporter of capital punishment. I know it wouldn't be in every instance, according to how the case is presented and so forth and so forth. But Singapore, you normally give some rats, you know. That was a British thing again. They rob you. We used to do it here. When them delinquent schoolboys behave in the way there, and you go to a magistrate, they carry you in the police room here, and they give some tamarind rotten. And nowadays, got some schoolboys threatening teachers with knives to stab up their classmates and schoolmates and so forth. And it's like they just walk free. I don't know, the politicians, them look just, to me, they're looking for a vote, and they're clamping down on the areas where they're supposed to clamp down on. And the Attorney General was supposed to listen, because he look like he like a farm lad. He got a lot of speed and so. All these are things, because the discipline of the country falling down. Last year, I'm going to say, Singapore is a small country, but the size of St. Lucia. And the area of the world, the people, the populace, seem to be more disciplined than some other areas of the world. And I think that is one of the key for their success. And lastly, have you heard anything about the massive arrest they made in Singapore about money laundering and car smuggling and all that, and people with St. Nevis passports are involved? Have you heard anything? I'm going to listen up here.
Thank you for your call. I did hear that, but I have not seen any articles to that effect. So I don't know if it's just a rumor or.
Okay.
Yeah,
we
have
have
a call.
Yeah, we have another one.
Hello, good morning.
Wait, Island T, go right ahead.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Question. Dwyer made a statement, justice delay is justice denied. Why do it take so long for a case to be tried in the Caribbean, in St. Kitts? Because then, for example, the case with the lady that was stabbed up in her house to death since 2019, why haven't that case called yet? I mean, all you're doing is make these criminals comfortable, and in a sense, it's like they get away with it because then if the young man is still in prison, he's getting a free meal, he's eating, he's just getting fat. Why haven't the case tried?
Well, we can't speak to that because we don't have all the facts in relation to that. We could say generally things might be slow if it is that they find that they don't have enough evidence to present, and then usually when you have a murder case, it goes to the magistrate court for a preliminary inquiry first and to see whether or not there is substantial evidence to carry it forward to the High Court. So it's a process.
But then the case, the court is
but I mean, in that case, I think in that case there, they had evidence because it's CC camera pick him up coming out the lady's house. So why is it taking so long to try the case? You make these people feel comfortable, like they get away with it. And we need the law need to be a little bit faster.
Sometimes it's just procedural.
Yeah, that's definitely a question to be answered by the police and the director of public prosecution's office. Yeah.
Okay,
in relation to that
have a
matter.
good day.
But Carla,
Thank
thank
you.
you
Same
so
to you.
much. And because, persons would have these concerns, what you have said is something that others, I'm sure, would have concerns about. So I want to say thank you for your call. Thank you for expressing those concerns. And continue to call in and tune and help us, because someone might have heard that and, try to make it to see what's happening.
And we have another call.
Yeah, we have another caller.
Hello, good morning.
Yes. The lady's right. And the caller before her is more than right. It's what he was saying. The fabric of the country is going. Some morning ago, you all was talking about lashes. Lashes shouldn't remove from the box. That's how we become walking little boys and come through the system as big men now. You got to protect, you got to guide through these young boys. It's terrible. And when an old man down there, the old factory welder who do some welding up on the factory, he said, right, I can remember watching O'Neill in the park, waiting for time to go to factory. But he got to get a piece of Gilbert and Mike Harris playing cricket for St. Kitts. He's right. And this is the kind of conversation we need. And the media. But you see, most of you ain't understand these things, and most of you young. That's why anytime I get a chance to see Emil, I always tell him, man, come like me and culture and put it out there. I tell him more like that, you know. Because as I mean, we got make more like come and these radio shows with you. We have to control what's going on in St. Kitts, especially with these young minds, these young boys. And with the smoking thing, they say you can't smoke, but they have to smoke home. Why you want to go represent why people dining with their family, having a dinner, and smoke all over the place? You don't care who sick. And police tell me, go upstation, bye, you should go home and bring back and leave. And that's how you.
Okay, I think Jamdo must be gone.
Yeah, thank you, Jamdo. So many callers, and it's good to have so many persons wearing their views.
Yeah. Here's another one.
Yeah.
Island T, you're on here.
Yes, good morning, good people again.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to concur with everybody who called in this morning. Now, the last person got the capital punishment by the noose round the neck. He committed a crime down in Fig Tree. He killed his wife. And that was, he got hung in November 2009. And people who were in the cell in there, after that, they say, well, they never see more toilet paper using themselves. Because people who were in there on death row, they started to tremble and bawl all night. They couldn't sleep. So if people want to say the capital punishment is not a deterrent, they're wrong with that. And I am saying this too. Everybody go to school to learn as much as they can learn academically. And when the teacher examine the arm, you walk, and they put a big X in it, you face screw up all there and you bawling. You don't like no X. Everybody want a correct. Well, after they learn in school and they go to college and they come back and then they go in parliament now, everybody now concentrating on that same X. They don't want no correct. And why you say they're concentrating on the X? They rather to know that they do not offend a family of 5 because they're going to hang the son who killed his neighbor. Because if they hang he, those X ain't coming to them. So the X seems like it's more important than those who make laws in parliament than the justice. And they need to done with this old British behavior. Oh no, you can't commit capital punishment from someone who rape a woman and kill her. It could be a young child that even worse. But what happened to the victim? They're not looking at the victim. They come talking about you can't do this and can't do that. Man, no. What you do to the victim gonna come back to you. That the Bible do good, good come back to you. Do bad, and it come back to you. What goes around comes around, because a circle don't have no corner. So you can't hide behind a circle. Thank you all very much.
Okay. Only culture could come up with truisms like that. A circle doesn't have any corners.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't seem like we're having any fireproof today. Oh God, I hope that doesn't mean maybe there could be that they have a fire now or something.
Oh gosh.
Let's not.
I
You know. Because I haven't heard anything.
Good vibes
so,
only.
yeah.
Good vibes only.
I know.
No, we had good vibes only yesterday on Thursday.
Here's another call.
Yes.
Island T, go right ahead.
Go ahead.
So, Jonah, greetings and love to you. Hey. Sir.
Hey.
How your morning, Karen?
Oh, good.
Give thanks for life and blessed love to your Mother Earth of creation. How the morning is coming, blessed that.
Good morning. Great so far. Thank you for asking. How are
Good
you?
morning, brother Azard.
Good
It's love and
morning.
care for the ancestors
Yes.
and the Almighty Creator. How your morning, Kyrie?
Yes.
How are you?
Blessed guidance. Now, we'd like to say morning to your listeners and radio via your internet of your service or your carriers. Good morning.
Thank you.
Bless and keep you.
Thank you so
Yeah, I
much.
would like to indicate something that you outlined there with the little clip you play with Brother Doyle.
Yes.
Outspoken about the aspect of how the system is formulating towards these legislation and concept towards law-making body. Now, we like to say, up to now, this justice system ain't change is bad behavior because we still have, as they call it, the double standard structure on here. You all make emphasis as the elder outlined in his statement pertaining about this double standard. A troubling thing that is indicating on you. Enough of these people here what are. Me not justify to say on the concept because that's what they Irish carry them to. But we like to carry our Irish to the full aspect of this criminal society that we have on now. Now, if we're serious about changing the format of how our youth are behaving and the way that they're committing, as they call it, violent behavior, why is it that we still containing some kind of method from these people and the social aspect when it comes to the mind of our youth them today? How much of youth them still use the social media as a framework of communication and watching, as they call it, activities that imply within music and other format out there. Now we're saying the influence right now is baking on our society and the influence is bad and the context of how our society is upholding. You see? And they don't want to change that method because they realize they're getting money from that structure. It's creating a big business. Crime is business, no matter what you try to turn it, it's a big business. That's why you see some of these contexts that the legislation is informing and crime behavior is not basically taking the development to a different stage. It continue the aspect of what they want because it's a money-making scheme. That's why the lawyers them now talk how to change the avenues of these laws because they know the emphasis that they're creating on the grounds. A lot of loophole is now constitution in the justice system. A lot of loophole. But they want to break it and set these things full and straight. I'm not lying, but I'm not covered in these laws around here. Because I read very, very careful about these concepts that we're facing. The troubles that are on our hand, the wobbles them that are created by who? Things that are because we have our assistant that don't care of how we development really stage, but they care about how the economic benefit them in the prosperity of control. We don't come to control no youth around here. It's guide the youth them need guidance. Some manners, let me call you out as a virgin today. No come to control the youth them, let you guide the youth them need the love and care. You have a lot of them need to know how to guide within caring and not try to force things on them and say, oh, we had this, remember things are changing around us and we got now to adapt to changes, but not enforce power on the people, change them with love and care. Mm-hmm. And it's how we going to change them with love and care if we respect one another around here. Because me not got to be a Christian to respect you. They will show the care in general, respect, tolerance, and the joy. Yes, morning to our elders. Blessed love to you, all blessed. Mm-hmm. So it's a journey that we going on, and we continue because our people say the struggle still continue.
Okay.
The race is not for the sweet, but who can enjoy it. You all have a lovely and joyous day.
Thank you so much.
Same to you.
I like the
Thanks
point
for
that
your
you
input,
made about respecting persons who might show different views. I know we're going on to a break. I want to say that I'll have to leave right now because I have some matters to deal with. But I want to say to everyone, have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful weekend, and see you on Monday. I'm so ready to gear up and be back on Monday.
Wow.
Yes.
He's ready for Monday and it's only Friday.
Wow.
Yes.
What is going on?
Had a good show today. We had so many views, so many persons calling in and discussing what they feel, what's on their chest. That's good.
Yeah.
I know. It was a good day.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll miss you for the next 15 minutes.
I know. I will miss. I try to bring it down to the wire, but
I know. Yeah. Just be safe out there.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Powder Blue Shirt.
Yes. See you guys soon.
Okay.
All right then.
13 minutes until 10. Let's take a quick break. You can hear from Rams.
1998. It's Vinny and Mohica. Pete Rock. Hey, yo.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Rams the good food people, always there to serve you. Rams the good food people, locations right near you. Rams the good food people, in-store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices. Rams is always here. Rewarding your loyalty. Rams is always here. We are community. We are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
Buster, pour it up, need the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. Buster, you full of vibes, living full of color. And I'm black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up, If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life.
Hey, we got that Friday morning boom bap.
Who's this now?
Oh, it's a Pete Rock beat. You know who Pete Rock is?
I don't think so.
Never
Give
heard
me
of
a song he sang.
Pete Rock and oh God, I'm trying to. You don't remember
I'll have to Google it. I'm sorry. I mean,
Pete
I
Rock,
love
he's
music
a
and I
producer.
have a
He's a
very
producer.
wide array.
a
But
New York producer, one of the boom bap legends.
if you don't give me like name of a song, I probably won't get it unless I Google.
God, let me think. Okay, you never heard of Pete Rock and CL Smooth?
No, I'm sorry.
No? Okay.
I'm sorry.
I can't think of any song.
I'll
that he
Google
did
it.
that
I'll
you-
Google
yeah,
it.
uh-huh.
We have like just 10 minutes to go, and unfortunately, there's no fireproof today, and we're all
Yeah.
hoping that it's not because.
But we have
there is
lots
a
of
fire.
calls though.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, true to
that's
form,
your
calling during the commercial break.
Oh.
But then I come back and I press thing,
And it's
and yeah. So please call back. We have 10 minutes. You want to play some more, do I, in the meantime? I'll just take the call. Okay, here we go. Calls.
They decided for us. Hello, good morning.
Hey.
Yes. My brethren, Rasta man in this country respect elders. This smoking thing all over think it's from these young boys that just leave school day before yesterday and walking think it. For why I have been seeing them put Xander with these people business, especially in the food court, trying to make money in a crucial time. And young men feel like they could go in the people business and disrespect the business them. The business them can't make the money. Rasaya, or is it fun, you know? And we want respect. You gonna tell me the other night I down there watching some elders from abroad come home, gone in the food court with the family, and young men occupying the people table, rolling weed on the table, and disrespectful.
Oh my.
I said, no, to that. I born here. And here go run good. Like, a lot of them got lucky, you know. A lot of them got the lucky that the men done by the technical college in here. You know better, you know, we ain't come up so. I come up in an era where you had to run to do this thing.
Okay,
and
Chandler.
now, little boys, who are these people.
Jam
You
now.
have to, like, put
Jam
things
now.
in place, man, and let me do it right. Have a good
Okay,
day.
Jam now. I don't want us to be doing the back and forth. I hope this is not Ras. Okay.
I actually agree with him with that. It's
Yeah,
just simple
but-
respect and consideration. I mean, they're not supposed to be spoken it like in public anyways, but if you're going to do it, I mean, come on, simple respect and
Yeah,
consideration.
I agree. Let's go back to the phone lines. Island T.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes, with regard to the death penalty, I think we should really reflect and not make decisions based on the heat of the moment, or an emotional reaction. Because when in the heat of the moment and when something happens, we instinctively want not only swift justice but revenge and retribution. We tend to go to the extreme, right? We tend to overreact. So, regards to what decisions are made concerning that, it should be done in a very sober, very introspective way. Because there are pros and cons for it. I mean, some people would say that it's really cruel and inhuman punishment. It reverts to barbarism, so to speak. If you look at it, we kill people to show that killing people is wrong. There's something inherently wrong about that. Okay? We know that everybody can kill, but everybody don't kill. And when you kill, we know that you have no compunction about killing. So yes, you should be, at the very least, put away.
All right, let me ask a question.
Yeah.
You know that there's that bit in the Bible where Jesus says, "Give Caesar things to Caesar," right? Now, in the interest of a civil society, I mean, there have to be certain government structures, laws, and
Right.
so on. Don't you think that Caesar's things to Caesar extends to, hey, maybe you killed a dude, you have to die too, or
No,
maybe some
I
other.
You see, okay, I believe, for instance, on the right in the right to self-defense. Okay, if somebody coming at you to kill you, you have every right to defend yourself. But
why all the deflections? We're not talking about self-defense. We know where this narrative is coming from because of the armed robberies. All Dwyer is saying is that he thinks that the palette of crimes, about I make crime sound like something
We
nice.
need stiffer penalties.
Yes, stiffer penalties.
But I think, but from that he also discussed the death penalty. Right, so I was referring to the death penalty in particular.
Because that was it sounded almost like an attempt to equate murder, cold-blooded murder, with traumatic, with somebody inflicting trauma on somebody else, and I thought that was a bit extreme. Okay, we can debate whether the ends justifies the means in terms of the deterrent effect, because I think that in itself is questionable. I mean, if somebody set out to kill someone, cold-bloodedly kill someone, I don't think.
But I don't think you answered. I don't think you answered my question, though.
Which was?
Do you think
Which one?
Caesar's things extends to the laws and the recompense that a society sets up to deal with crime? Do you think Caesar's things extends to that? And do you think
I don't, because I think there's a higher thing that that determines morality. Let's say the Ten Commandments, for instance, that I think supersedes Caesar's things, or supposedly should.
But the goal.
Let me throw something into the mix. Somebody on the Facebook chat said the wages of sin is death. But death by who? Are we waiting for the final death, karma, or death by the hands of the persons in charge of society?
Not only that. It's all sin.
Right?
And all sin and it is not. Do you regard all sin as the same?
Well, I think sin is sin.
And somebody who murders someone should they be put in the same bracket?
See, now this is the same conversation I alluded to earlier when Azard started spouting jurisprudence, because in law there's a whole theory and a whole big debate about morals versus law. Because I would say all sin is sin, and you might say that sin, one sin supersedes the other, but isn't all sin sin? So it comes back again to your interpretation, your background, your morals.
But isn't law based on morality?
A bit, but whose? The person making it might not have the same that I
is.
Right, exactly. So
right, and so all I'm saying is that we should temper our prescriptions in the face of. We should not overreact. And
I do agree with you in that context. That it should be introspective and because when you act in the heat of the moment, it kind of is not. After you go back and you think about it, can you really reverse that that decision? It's like the four things in life that you can't take back.
Why are you guys inserting the prescription that Dwyer is espousing? Is all about assumes that all those things, all the other ducks are in a row. The person did it. The end. Come, let's get you down on death row and let's get you killed as soon as possible.
But then, how long? Because
he
also mentioned justice delayed is justice denied, right? But then, how long do you wait before making the decision? And I think that's what Ira is alluding to. Because do you want to okay, so they committed the crime, we catch them, we killing them the next day, or do you want them to sit for a bit? You go, you research all the evidence, you make sure, like you said, all your ducks are in a row, and then you decide, okay, this is what he did. We have the evidence. It is clear that he's the person that committed it, and we go forward.
But even what you call irrefutable evidence, even that has its limitations, because we know that history abounds with examples of people who have been wrongfully executed. Right? I mean, how do you bring them back? How do you?
Yes, but we're not talking about those. We're not talking about those. What about okay, let's say, for example, we expanded it to include, say, armed robbery, and the guys admitted to it. So, what excuse are you gonna give to not
what?
Execute them, maybe?
Execute for robbery?
I said armed robbery. Let's say some other stuff happened, maybe.
Even armed robbery where nobody was hurt. Hurt, I mean, physically.
Hurt? How do you define hurt?
Somebody for that?
How do you define hurt?
This is why you need to sit down and analyze it before you make a decision.
But if we're going to go there, we're opening a whole kind of worm.
Indeed.
If, for instance, somebody gets wrongfully terminated from their job, or they lose the job over something like politics or something like that, that has inflicted, you've taken away somebody's livelihood. How do you measure that kind of hurt with the one you're talking about?
Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. You can go overboard with this thing, and I'm saying that it needs reasoned approaches in a setting that is sober and reflective, that will deal with the consequences of what is done or whatever decisions are made.
Yeah.
Before we make them.
Right. So you're not necessarily against it. You're just proposing that we take a measured approach. Yeah.
And
Yes. Don't just instinctively react.
Agreed. I can agree with that.
But also, I don't think anyone was saying that. I mean,
no.
we're clearly having the debate now, which is good. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you were to poll now, you'll probably find a lot of people, the majority, agree with that based on recent happenings. Whereas if you had polled before these recent happenings, you probably would have gotten a different result.
Probably. Everybody's kind of still hyped and annoyed, and you want to see something done.
Exactly.
Agreed. I take your point, yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much for
All right, have a great weekend.
Have a good one today. And a good weekend. It is 10:01. Wow.
Yeah,
interesting morning.
Yeah,
but I'm happy for the calls because you get a sense of where people are and what they're thinking. So thank you guys for participating today. I hope everyone has a safe and amazing weekend. see you back here on Monday.
See you back here on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend. And
Thank
I hope
you.
it stays nice and rainy all weekend.
Come on, man.
Oh, come on.
How
I
much
mean,
rain are we talking about?
Really?
I have activities.
Are you really getting salty about rain? Seriously?
I don't know. I like suppose now it's like what happened last night.
Oh, last night was pretty.
Last night was amazing,
yeah.
though.
Mhm.
I was home, thankfully.
So we're back to complaining about rain now.
No,
I'm
but
about
I
rain
want it-
coming.
I want it in. I want it at a certain time and in measure.
Boy, you guys want to have your cake and eat it.
Exactly. When the lightning started, I was still in office, so I barely got home before it got crazy.
You know what's funny? I did some washing last night, right? And I came down here for only good news. And then I was thinking, boy, so those clothes are probably not going to be. But then they were dry this morning, so.
Well, the wind. So there
Yeah,
was
the
wind
wind,
with
yeah,
the
because it
rain.
was windy, yeah.
Ah.
So, yeah.
I'm happy for the wind, but
Mhm.
and the rain. But
And
I
the
want
rain,
it
and the rain,
in
and the rain.
specific
Yeah.
doses.
Yes, you certainly
Have
do.
a good weekend.
Have your cake and eat it at Candy.
Always.
Okay, have a great weekend. We have Spin Cycle coming up
Have a
next.
good one, Cleo.
Hey yo, play.
Fruta full of vitamin, real fruit juice, no full of vitamin. Pop open the goodness, just dive in.